So, thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Juan. So that was our coupon programs. So what we thought we'd just spend a little time talking about plants and design. You already have some ideas about what you would like to have and what you'd like to do. So I've asked Gail to come, and she has lots of experience in talking about plants and plant ID and how they grow and what to plant in certain locations. We got shade and we got full sun. So Gail, would you please come over and just talk a little bit about plants? What do you have here? And then feel free to ask any question you have.
This is how I'm an irrigation consultant by day. And so that means that I get to go out to people's house who have an irrigation or a sprinkler system, and I'll assess it, I'll run it, I'll find anything wrong with it and let them know. But I also give my recommendations for how long they're running it versus how long it needs. And so a lot of times what they're asking me is like, well, how much water do I need for this? I'd love to take up all this grass, because grass is the water hog, okay? To be clear, by far. And so one of the reasons why we have these programs and these plants is because once they're established, saving a drought of extreme conditions, they will be fine without you adding more water to them, okay? So one of the things that I've seen happen with, this is a beautiful little ground cover called silver ponyfoot, and it loves all the sun that you can throw at it. So when we talked about those hot edges, what did you call it? The infernal strip? Okay, she's loving it, okay? And what I've seen people do is overwater her to the point of death, okay? And so a lot of these, Zexmenia is another one, very, very long blooming. It starts blooming in April and it will bloom until November. Now, during extreme heat, everybody just kind of like takes it to themselves and says, I'm cool right now. But then it'll start blooming again when we get out of the triple digits, right? But again, overwatering is one of the main ways that people have a tendency to like harm their plants. And so on this side is most of the sunny stuff. There's different degrees of sun and shade and some mixes, some things that tolerate well. Where is my lovely little, not blooming yet, but give her a minute, pink skullcap. Now, she will tolerate shade, she will tolerate mixed sun, but if you want to see her shine and bloom like a crazy girl, pink blooms, put her in more sun, okay? So she'll be thriving, but she will bloom for you better with a little bit more sun. And that's probably true of all the sun-loving ones. There's a little bit of tolerance that they'll all have. But if you want them to bloom, if you want to get your mist flower in the fall and get all those butterflies going crazy on it, then, where's the woman that has morning sun? Oh, yeah, we have the same yard, okay? Morning and gone, okay? So I've got these guys kind of trying, but they're always, they're never quite as happy as they are in y'all's sunny yards. But basically, when I go out, I will look at people's yards that, it's supposed to be grass there, but it's not really grass there. And the number one reason is because it's got so much shade, right? And what I tell people is asking grass to grow in that deep shade is like asking a fish to grow or to live out of water. It's just not going to happen. So this is the perfect opportunities for thinking of those shade tolerant plants. And I think it's on here. Let me just triple my check here. Elephant ear. Split leaf philodendron, that's the one, sorry. Split leaf philodendron is one of my favorites for, kind of a nice, big, dramatic. It's on the left, third one down. And so I know that most people in San Antonio don't have an irrigation system. And I'm just going to tell you that's a real good thing, because all the houses that I go to, I would say that 75% of their water usage is going to be in their outdoor space. And, I know that we all love our plants and we're probably using a good amount, but you just have no concept of like, when it says 22 gallons a minute, when I'm calculating the gallons per minute, I want you all to think of that gallon jug and just 22 of them, just loading up every single minute. It's amazing. So if you have an irrigation system, call me. I'll come and assess it, and we'll talk about what else you can do. Again, we have many rebates and design changes that you can implement, and you can incorporate, and you get a water saver reward for having the consultation, but you can incorporate the landscape coupons, or whenever Juan comes back, talk about the new program called Outdoor Living to kind of take out some of that grass, take out some of that irrigation, and do something that is going to be a lot better money-wise, water-wise. Yes, ma'am.
What's the fee for a consultation on irrigation?
It's astronomical. Zero. It's free. We do it all year long. It's so cool. And here's the other part. Like, there are times where we say, oh, you should do a consultation once a year, right? Are you making... Yes.
No, I'm
Okay.
doing the Vanna White or the lovely Carol Merrill.
Yes. So you should do a consultation once a year just to check, right? But if you're making changes, go ahead and call, to see what, to do your final inspection anyway, to get your rebate for what changes you made, but also kind of to check, how much water am I saving? Because when I first come out, I'll calculate that gallons per minute for the whole month based on your settings. If I come out again, I'll do that again for you, and you can see instantly, oh, I went from, 12,000 gallons a month on my irrigation to 5,000 gallons a month, and that's going to make a huge difference in your bill. Yes, sir.
How much would it cost to have a sprinkler guy come out and do the same thing?
Oh, per hour, I would say probably around $100 an hour. And the other thing is, we're doing it,
for free.
and Sal does it for free all year long. So, it's one of those cold days, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make her come out. I'm going to make her run the water, and I'll do it. I love it. I mean, but to be fair, when it's 100 degrees, I'm the one running through the sprinklers.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have the sprinkler irrigation thing, can that be switched over to a drip?
Yes, if you switch a zone that is not grass, that is bedding, from sprays or rotors or whatever it is to drip irrigation, we have a rebate for that. And we have rebates for all kinds of things, like a lot of San Antonio has high pressure, and you're going to see that when you have the spray heads or the rotor heads and they're like misty. It truly looks like an aerosol can. It's just spraying and going everywhere else. Misting, evaporating, and that's high pressure. So those heads are designed for regular pressure. You need that kind of heads that are designed for high pressure with a little pressure reducing valve inside them, so that you have drops landing on the plants and not paying for that water. It's gone. You paid for that. Bye. Okay. So yeah, those are some of the many different irrigation design changes. Yes.
For the landscape coupon,
Yes.
we don't want to have any irrigation.
You don't need it.
Yeah, so that's why I said we're a little worried when you said that changing over. Yes, we encourage you, particularly if you do it correctly, and we can help you through that process of changing sprays to drip, because we always say, will it save water? No, it may save water if you do it correctly. However, in the beds themselves, we don't want any irrigation on that.
So
Not even
if
drip.
you're going to have something, if you're going to keep your irrigation, going to drip will save you water if it's
Maybe.
running
If it's done
correctly.
correctly.
And your plants will like it better because they don't like to get sprayed. They like it down at the base. But preferably, you will choose plants for your beds that once they're established, you won't need that irrigation anymore. And they're going to be perennial, they're going to come back. And even through our 2 delightful winters where we had super fun freezes, top may freeze. I have yet to have one dead plant that didn't come back slowly, but came back. So they're tough. These are drought tolerant, primarily native, and usually even if it's a slow return after a freeze, they'll come back. Yes, ma'am.
There's a put mulch on them.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to put mulch on them. Yes, because you're maintaining some of that moisture that that is there. What little moisture we get from the sky and anything else you might hand water. But yeah, that mulch is going to keep everything a lot more moist in there. In our summer heats, that first 1 inch of soil is going to get evaporated from sun, heat, and wind. So putting that layer of mulch keeps that a little bit moister.
Do y'all recommend keeping fabric under the mulch? Because my husband thinks it's a big old deal. You have to scrape all the top layer of soil, put the fabric.
I will let the
under
garden
soil.
geek answer that one. So I had an opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of work is.
Has it ever worked? If you look around all your neighbors, has it ever been there without seeing it for more than 2 years?
We've lived there for 5 years. And you can see the
You can see it all over the place.
It always emerges, right? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then it always fails because you always have weeds, and then you can't pull it because you got the fabric in the way. Anyway, yes.
You don't even want to know how many times I found an irrigation head still functioning underneath the
Oh
fabric.
yeah, that's another one.
Recommend to clear the areas of grass.
You can you have several opportunities. I'm not averse to glyphosate. Some people are, but but one of the great alternatives is one that you can find in an article on GardenStyleSanAntonio.com by Nathan Riggs. It is orange oil, strong vinegar, and a little bit of dish soap. And you will take a couple of sprays on that. This morning would have been like a beautiful morning, sunny, coolish. So what it does is it just burns the foliage off. And it's easy because they have all the products right here for you.
Additionally, I did an article and a webinar, or a video, I should say, a how-to video, how to get rid of grass in your yard. And although I do mention some of the
other products,
I prefer a little bit more natural way to do it. So first of all, if you have any aggression, stress, or anything else, pulling out grass is awesome. Okay.
Well,
And
weeds and grasses.
some of the grasses are easier than a Bermuda grass is a nightmare for that one. But St. Augustine, oh my gosh, very fulfilling. And then the other thing is you can put clear plastic, weigh it down with something, rocks, etc. You can put cardboard and it'll decompose. It takes a little bit longer. All of the methods that I talk about with the more natural methods are going to take a little bit longer. But, you know, I'm sorry, but I get a lot out of pulling St. Augustine.
But it's okay to do the composting, the sheet composting with the cardboard.
Yes, yes.
That's what I started with.
Yes.
That's what I
It takes a little while. And you have
But if
to.
you cover it with compost, it's covered.
So what you want is to actually burn that grass, let that heat. That's why the clear plastic works better than, for example, black plastic. And so what you want it to do is really heat up underneath there. So if you want, to put that compost, I would almost put like some hot compost on there,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hot compost means that it is freshly composting. The temperature of it truly is hot. I was just at Chavano Park Earth Day, and they were giving away from the city, their composted organics that they make. And when people were digging, if they go to move it, it was pretty darn hot. So yeah, something like that would help heat that area up to kind of kill that grass.
If you want to do the clear plastic, and it is a very good way of doing it, sometimes it's best, and you want it really effective, you water it just a little bit. And what that does, it creates 140, 160 degree steam underneath, and or a little bit more, a little bit higher, closer to 200. And
So think about that heat that we get and how it's such a pain. Well, it's a pain for grass too, especially under plastic.
I have a question because I can't do all of that. So I was going to do the no-dig gardening. But I've seen two different things. Yesterday when I bought all my plants, because I was telling her the same thing, I was going to do cardboard, compost, and plants. But she said, no, compost, plant, and cardboard. Which was better to kill all the weeds?
I would just say the hotter the compost would be in that second one.
Right on it.
Yeah.
That hot
In
compost.
case of the
Cardboard
compost.
on
Yeah.
top, and then put the mulch.
Now.
Oh, yeah.
Cardboard on top?
Yeah, because that compost is hot, right?
Yeah.
And you're putting it directly on that green leaf material, right? So it's hot and it's burning it, and then you're keeping that
Oh.
heat. You're not letting that heat escape. So you're keeping that heat in.
Yeah.
And then,
But I don't know if I'd be putting any plants underneath
Yeah, I don't know
it.
about plants.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put plants at that point. I would wait for death to occur to
Well,
grass.
I don't have grass. I have weeds.
Okay. But don't plant the plants in.
You
Compost
can't.
is gonna kill your new
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah.
No, I'm not putting compost.
Yeah.
I'm just putting compost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Then you
it,
can do your cardboard
Right.
and then your compost.
for for two reasons I
To weigh
wouldn't
it
do
down.
that. One, you're going to smother it, and two, decomposing compost or any organic matter produces carbon dioxide. That will kill roots. So you want oxygen, not carbon dioxide. So you never incorporate a lot of compost, whether it's hot or good one, into the ground with your plants. You wait till, just like, there's this wonderful article written about
No dig.
turf yesterday. I don't know who wrote it, but it was great. How to lay turf properly. So the old way, 30 years ago, in the last millennia, you would incorporate compost in the soil and then put the turf on top. Nowadays, we put the turf right on the
yeah.
soil and then put the compost on top for that very
But
reason.
if you're gonna do plants and flowers, what
I-
type of soil then do you recommend to put on?
Oh, I never put soil into the ground. I always, because it's got to grow there. I'm sorry. You get, either you're going to make it or you're not going to make it. But in the scenario where you're talking about how to get rid of all these weeds, and particularly Bermuda grass, one option would be putting a little compost on top, and then the sheet, and that will kill everything. I was just a little worried when she was putting the plants in with it.
I heard the
Well,
word
you're going to
plants
kill your
too, yeah.
plants.
But you're gonna wait.
Yeah, I know.
Then how long should you wait before you put the plants?
It's kind of like you have to wait and see. You'll be able to say on that.
Yeah, a
But-
lot depends on what kind of when you're putting it, what kind of heat we're having.
Mm-hmm.
If we had it last summer, it may take longer than one of our typical summers. You know.
So I can't put my plants in right now.
I don't wish to speak to something that I don't know all the factors on.
Yeah.
She's
So,
already gotten her
Yeah.
plants.
I
Yeah.
already
Now
bought
what?
my plants.
I said, well, see,
Or 100?
I don't worry about it. I try to kill the weeds and the grass, and then I just plant right into the soil. It's called in situ.
You do it with the natural stuff, the orange.
I'm not worried about covering.
No, I know.
Yeah.
So you kill your grass just by the
Right,
orange.
right, and then I'm planting right in. And then I go back and I get the thrill of pulling all those
Yeah.
grass out.
The dead
And then,
grass runners.
and then I'm going to put what we talked about, because it's hot and dry. I'm going
Yeah.
to put the mulch down.
Definitely putting that mulch.
Compost and mulch are two different things. Compost you can put in. It's completely decomposed or near completely decomposed material, and you can incorporate it in the soil.
And you can have living mulch.
And well, I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
I'm going to get to that.
He's getting.
And
to
then
it.
mulch is raw material. You always put that on top. As I get older, I'm going to do it in one set. Yeah. So I have what's called living mulch, and that is a combination of compost and rough material mulch, and you just put that on top. Because if you ever were in the woods and you scrape down, you see all this fine compost, and then you
Yeah.
have raw material. That's just like what nature does.
Yep.
Can you give that spray items?
Yes, I will. I will give it to you and then encourage you to go online to look it up on that. So it's 2 ounces of orange oil, 1 gallon of strong vinegar, and that is 18% or more acetic acid in the vinegar, or the strength on that.
And it will burn your hand.
It
Yes.
will burn. It will burn your nostrils. Woo! So do it in the garage with lots
do
of
it-
ventilation.
Yeah.
And then
Outside.
either 2 to 3 ounces of dish soap. So it's usually a couple squirts on that. I like Dawn. The reason is, and if you have to use it on fire ants, it's 3 ounces of orange oil with 1 gallon of water, and 3 ounces of Blue Dawn. For some unknown reason, Blue Dawn works the best. So I just keep Dawn around, Blue Dawn around, because it works for both the herbicide and the insecticide. Yeah.
So you put all that in one of those pumping
Yeah.
sprayers?
Yeah, either that or you mix it up and you put it more in a hand sprayer if you so desire. So,
when the sun is shining
yeah,
No,
Yes.
It's a different.
And we're
before your eyes.
yeah.
and where it's not a too windy day. Yeah, when it's not too windy of a day. Rebate. You could take out
So you're
a
gonna cut
zone.
it,
You
so,
could take
yeah, you can
out
do it-
the whole
can
thing
do it
as
either
a
way.
functioning irrigation system and get quite a substantial rebate for removing the system. And it doesn't mean digging up the pipes or anything else. It means removing the controller, usually in the garage, sometimes on the side of the house, the backflow preventer, and unless your house is pre-1978, you've got one of those. And then the valves. So however many zones you have a valve for each one of those zones. And sometimes, depending on how old the system is, those valves are hard to find, especially if they're not functioning. So it's visible valves that you can find. But if you have a system that we deem is non-functional, there's still a rebate for that, $450.
What do you mean by rebate? We get a check?
You get a check in the mail with check in the mail for
Because?
yes, yes. So you're going to take all those components that I just mentioned and make one big group photo, the family removed photo, right? And then you're going to email that to me, and depending on if it was functional or not functional, a non-functional will get $450. And a functional one has levels depending on how many zones, how many gallons per minute's the average, and things like that.
But when Gail comes out, she'll be trying to see if she can get water running.
Oh yeah,
It's worth a lot more to the rebate.
yes,
For you.
it's considerable.
If she can get
Yeah,
water
so I mean, you know, it immediately starts out with, if I can get it functional, even the smallest irrigation system is going to fetch you $750, all the way up to $3,000, depending on how large your irrigation system is.
And so if it's functional and you find that it's functional, what's the rebate for? Just to not use it, or
To remove the parts that I told you. Controller, backflow, and valves. That's it. And, you know, it's not that hard. I mean, people think that it's all this digging, but the biggest dig is going to be the backflow preventer, if it's there, if it's not a pre-80s house. And then once you cap that line, that's the main line to the whole irrigation system. So after that, you don't have to cap a bunch of things. You don't have to cap the heads. You don't have to cap the valves. You've capped the main water line. So that's it. And it's really not as difficult. You don't have to dig the lines up. You need to dig out the valve, the backflow, and remove the controller from wherever it is. And it's not, and we've got videos on this as well. So we've got all kinds of, and then even if you just end up deciding, you know what, I'm just going to take out one zone. So that means you are going to remove one valve. We've got a video, how to remove a valve. If you decide you want to convert to a drip line and keep that, you know, instead of removing it, we've got a video, how to convert a spray zone to a drip irrigation. And it's going to be a lot cheaper if you put that little extra effort of work in and do it, because an irrigator is going to charge you this arm and most of this arm to convert that zone from spray to drip. But we give rebates such as like $100, $200 for converting to drip, and then more for removing.
and how do we get your services? Will you do it?
Dun, 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 dun,
I was
dun,
gonna say,
dun.
but I pulled it out
Okay.
just for you.
So please take one of these if you have an irrigation. Anyone of y'all have irrigation? Irrigation. And there's the phone number. You know, at current point, that we have 5 consultants. I'm the only girl at current point. And so we are out every single day except for Wednesday when we get to do these kind of things. Going all over town, checking irrigation. The whole thing usually takes, depending on the size of the irrigation, 30 minutes to an hour. And then we talk about everything with you. You get the report, you get the rebate sheet, you get very clear explanation of what our recommendations are. And then we can talk plants, which is what we really want to talk about anyway.
So So the services is more of an inspection and then telling us what we need to do in order to get the rebate.
And
we
we-
don't
we-
actually do the physical labor.
No.
Yeah, we don't do the removing, right?
But
No.
we'll set it for you.
Yeah, we will change your control. Like if you're keeping that system and you know, I tell you where you're using 16,000 gallons a minute, a month, and my recommendations are 3,000, you know, we can get that done in less than 2 minutes usually. Yeah. But you'll also be aware of any breaks or maintenance issues that you might have, such as your rain sensor working or not working. Yeah. So go ahead.
Changing gears.
Yes, okay.
So I did call Saz to find out like if y'all help with the design itself, and she said no, but we could check out the website.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I did check out the website, but still it doesn't help me. So I was wondering, do you have like other videos that you recommend, or other websites?
Did you see any of our webinars or galleries that had? So I think that our website, gardenstylesa.com, has a lot of articles, but there's like little gems of hidden diagrams, shade, diagrams, and lots of videos, and like you've got slope. Well, here's some ideas for slope. So whether you put in a search for the article that you could read about it, but usually in that article we'll have links to either galleries or a video where we also talk about that kind of thing. And beyond that, what else would we recommend?
I checked like on YouTube to see some of your.
Yeah, can you give me
an
an example of what you were looking for?
So I think I'm trying to figure out like what goes together. Like,
Oh.
Plants that go together. So
Side by
I
side.
like the salvia. In fact,
Okay, then it's
I
good.
went and chose mine the day before yesterday.
At the bottom of each plant, it says pairs well with.
And
Of course, mine would be a Cabernet, but whatever. Yeah. And you'll find that on the website when you look up plants too. It'll tell you what this pairs well with.
They are also, they're going to start having in 2 weeks tours of water saver houses.
Yes.
That are going to be on YouTube, but it's garden volunteers in South Texas doing them, and they're supposed to do one per month.
Yeah,
You'll actually visit a house to
you're
walk through
virtual.
it.
It's like, visual. It's
Yeah,
hard to,
it is.
look at a map or something. Or like I see that y'all have like a design sheet or whatever, but it's like, learning how to, do the sketching or things like that. Like,
Oh yeah, I know. I feel with you. I have many graphs that are not to scale because I don't do that well. But here's some basics that I do know. I mean, when you're designing something, look again at how big is that plant going to get? How tall is plant? Kind of like tallest to the back, and think about your color combos. I mean, one of the great things is to have like this purple, like Mexican bush sage. Down below is a shorter yellow blooming plant. It's just very striking. So that kind of color combo, which you're going to find in there, and you're probably going to find articles that kind of talk to that. It usually with our articles, they give some photos, but they also give a link. So I would follow the links as well. But there's a good number of design articles in there.
Yeah, and I may have answered your inquiry, which we're going to talk about at the very end here. But you know what? I often forget we have wonderful webinars that we created during the pandemic. That Gail and I are on, and Brad, and even Juan, and we have these. And lots of times I fail to direct people to them. So I go to the website saying, here's go to the design tab. Look at that. Here's the articles. Here's some really great articles and I forget about the videos.
The webinars.
And the webinars.
So one of the great things about the webinars is because people are watching live, right? And we talk and we have our little speech that we're going to tell you, but we save a good chunk of time at the end where they're putting in their questions. So we get a lot of questions on things that we mentioned, but like, well, what about this in my yard? And so you might hear some of the things that you are also thinking about as well. So when you go to articles, it'll say like there'll be a webinar section too. So there is a how-to video, and those are the the great topics. But when you go to articles, somewhere near there, it should also have webinars. And we put them up probably about like a week to 2 weeks after the webinar occurred. So they're almost all up at this point. But
Yeah,
I
we haven't done
love
it
all
for a
the
while.
people's questions because it's the things that we talked about, but are very more specific. Like, what about this? You know? Yeah, it's really good. So.
All right. So I will give my 5 rules, design rules. Real easy. You've already mentioned 2. So tall ones go in the back, short ones go in the
Just like
front.
family photos.
Yeah.
Try to use a kidney shape or circular
Yeah.
or I know I'm going to go here. He's tired of moving the camera around. So put this in the back of my pocket. A round or kidney shape or S's, split S on your curve rather than rectangle. Although those work, it depends kind of on the architecture.
Yeah.
What's the other one about? Colors. Purple, reds, and blues go together.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
What?
Pollinators, bees, butterflies see blue and white
And yellow.
and yellow. And hummingbirds, as most people think, love
Say
the
red.
reds.
All right.
So you can have that combination. Just know that you're going to get different visitors.
Okay, back to aesthetics. So purple, red, and blue go together. Yellow and orange go together. White goes with everything. Let's see, I got tall ones.
Which goes against my purple yellow that I
Yeah,
love.
I know, that's it. But sometimes that works. Purple and yellow works.
I like it.
Yeah, I know that kind of. I'm more sedate. So, what else I said? Curve. Oh, I always like. That's the grass. Those are the beds. I'm going to have rock
Delineate.
or iron or some of this
Some
plastic
form of
barrier.
delineating.
Yeah, delineate the two. Always delineate grass and beds.
You mean like a border?
I'm border. Yeah.
So, you've seen the limestone that a lot of people do. I've seen brick. I mean, I go to thousands of houses and I've seen it all. Wood, even the little fence borders. But it's just nice to say, this is your spot and this is your spot. So grass, keep out.
Yeah,
Thanks. Yeah.
And that helps with the spraying and as well as everything and pulling.
It
spraying,
also
pulling.
just aesthetically looks.
And then
pleasing.
I guess the very first thing, and we've been talking about it, and Gail's laid out the plants, right plant in the right place. Know your sunlight. Know your plant.
So it's not just sun and shade. Also look at
And then-
water requirements.
Yeah.
And it helps if you go with water savers because the water requirement, little, right?
Yeah.
But there are some ones that sneak in there, and I accidentally spoke the word elephant ear when I meant split leaf philodendron. So look at some substitutions for some of those things that actually are a little bit more of a water hog. And that's a good one right there. So yes.
On my landscape, I have an area where there's cactus or cactus-like, like
Yep.
salvia, salvia, and those have I have rocks there. And then in the area where there's the plumbago, the esperanza,
Yes.
the other
Firebush.
things, not the firebush, but I have mulch.
Yeah.
there. I do use a soaker hose every now and then, wrapped around those just to get them moist. Just
In your second list, not in your first list,
not
right?
the first list. I
Okay,
keep
great.
The water
Yes.
in there. And I water every now and then in that area.
Yeah.
Is that okay to use a soaker
Yes.
on top of the mulch?
Here's what I say about Circo hoses. People think they're very conservation minded, but you crank that hose up to full pressure and you look and that's all those little sprays coming out. So keep it lower, and then put a timer on because it's real easy to forget about something you can't see. And just check it every once in a while for tears and breaks, etc. But yeah, I have Circo hoses because I don't have an irrigation system. But I've learned quickly that you need to pay attention to it. And for me, I must put a timer that's loud and annoying because I will forget. So yeah, it's okay. And what I'd also say is really kind of pay attention to when it just hasn't rained. Because if you're getting a ½ inch a week, you're fine, with the exception of maybe July, August, which might need a little bit more than that, just because of that sun, heat, wind.
Your word for today
Is
hydrozone, which is kind of what you did. You grouped the plants together, is what Gail said also, group the plants together according to water need. Hydrozone. So you group them together, so because you know that those plants are going to need once a week watering, those plants need once a month watering. With your succulents and the cactus and things like that. So you make sure that you don't have the sucker hose over both.
Yeah, you did perfect.
So,
you did great on that. Yeah.
So group plants according to water needs.
So when I go out and visit with irrigation consults, they talk about wanting to change up their landscape. Sometimes it's with plants, but sometimes it's extending the patio. Sometimes it's building a deck. Sometimes it's taking out, large areas and putting, something more hardscape related. So on that note, I always say, oh, you should talk to Juan, because he's going to be the king of outdoor living.
We want to thank everyone for coming out today. We were a little worried there for the very beginning, but thank you so much. Keep an eye out, because we would like to do this type of thing again. I don't know the next time we'll do it. Maybe quarterly, we don't know. But keep an eye out. Tell your friends. If you think it was informative and valuable, tell Robin. She's the coordinator on this, and we'll put it up on the calendar again. But tell your friends and your neighbors to come out the next time. We enjoy doing this.
And what I'd really like to see is before it is October, when it is still maybe at the tail end of August and you're using all your bonus bucks, to have us come out here and say how great fall planting is.
Oh, yes.
Remind people of the rewards deadlines.
Yes.
That would be perfect.
No, because I have it down here then.
I have my big voice, so.
Yes, I know you're trying. I just wanted to include a little bit.
Thank
in there.
you.
Okay. And then I saw you. They're going the same thing. I'm like,
Red and green, here we are. Go well together. All right,
oh,
so
thank you. We appreciate it.
when in doubt, ask the garden.
Oh, that was
One
it.
more.
That was the last thing I was going to do. Please go to gardenstylesanantonio.com. We've been mentioning it several times today. There's a row of tabs. So we have one of the things we were talking about was the design tab. We also have the programs tab. There is the articles tab. I said design, yeah. So resources, it's under resources. And you click on that. And then the articles. And then finally, you have the Ask the Garden Geek. And you can ask the Garden Geek any type of questions. And he will answer. Huh? Was that you? Huh? You like it? I understand he's very intelligent and handsome. So, we'd love to have you here. But on your drive home, you may think of more questions. So, just go to Garden Geek and ask questions on that. And if you look at the programs and you have some questions, then ask the Garden Geek, and I will direct them to Juan or Brad on that specifically. All right. If they have coupon questions.
And if you haven't signed up, this event is rewards eligible. So if you haven't signed up yet, I'm going to sign up.
Get those points. Yes. Use them individually, 30, 50, 70, or get that whole 150.